They got out of the car and started yelling death to the Jews, and she got so scared she called the police. But in this particular case, it's an email that I got today. Let me show you what it says here. Where is it? Here, I'll share the screen. Can you see? I attended the rally today and felt truly petrified for my own safety. Unfortunately, the news did not accurately depict the violence that happened today in Montreal. So I wanted to share my perspective and experience. Israeli supporters were localized to Dorchester Square, singing and standing together, notably chanting "Free Gaza from Hamas" and "Am Yisrael Chai." Meanwhile, pro-Palestinian and pro-Hamas supporters were surrounding everyone on all sides. Despite strong police barricades, they pushed through, charging at the Jews, while on the other side they climbed tall statues and threw rocks at our head. We were completely surrounded. Police tried to protect us, sending tear gas toward the violent pro-Palestinian protesters to disperse them and direct us to safety, but unfortunately they kept pushing and there was nowhere to go. At that point, it was no longer safe to stand in our designated square. The fear I felt when a nearby riot police officer in full gear shouted at us to run to avoid being attacked was something I'll never forget. They had no choice but to send us up Metcalf, where we were met with many more pro-Palestinian protesters. It was there where I heard things like "death to the Jews" and "it's too late for peace," among many other hateful and threatening slurs. People around me were getting physically attacked. The people did their best to direct us to safety, but unfortunately walking along the streets made the crowd of Jews disperse in different directions, only making us more vulnerable, etc., etc. And they took their Jerry, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Oh, yes. I just I went close. You could send that if you like.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. I might have sent it to you. I think I already did.
Okay, I didn't look
So,
recently.
yeah, so it looks like things are escalating here. They're certainly escalating in Israel. I was watching the Iron Dome protecting us from rockets. It's really like World War II again. We're beginning. That's why I think our message is so much more important now than ever before. I think I sent this out to the others as well. I'll just wait for Holly to come back. How you been?
So, I guess. I guess that's a normal question. So. You changed your hair or something, eh? You did something, or you cut it, or you did.
Yeah, it was cut. Yeah, I cut it and colored it.
Oh, yeah.
Hey Holly, how you doing, honey?
Hi, I'm good. Was that suspenseful?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
I
was.
read your email just before I signed on.
Yeah, that's
Awful.
here. And not only that, but in my own area of town here, a friend of mine was sitting outside her house, and two Arabs pulled up in a car and came out with a knife saying "Death to the Jews." And there's going to be more attacks, they said, right now. They've put more police in Côte Saint Luc, which is just next to me. Outremont. We have like Montreal is a very Jewish city. There's
Yeah.
a lot of little shtetls here. The shtetl, you know what a shtetl is? It's like
No. A
like the village,
settlement?
like a settlement.
Yeah.
Exactly. In Eastern Europe, they lived in little shtetls,
Yeah.
and
Well, and I wonder how much of that side of the story is going to be shared on mainstream media.
they didn't cover it properly
Yeah.
at all. No, they're afraid, or
There's
they
just
don't.
so much division. It's like we're going from one thing to another
I know.
to be divided, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. And
Awful.
it's not new. I came on, as I told you before, let me share this. I want to show it to you. This is the Haftarah portion. Share screen. So here in the book of Judges, the Haftarah begins at the second verse, and but the first verse sets the stage. The Lord delivered the children of Israel again did what was evil in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord delivered them into the hand of the Philistines for 40 years. So it says, there was a certain man of Tzora. It says Zora here, but actually the Hebrew says Mitzorah. And Tzora means wasp. I'm not talking about white Anglo-Saxon Protestants. I'm talking about the stinging wasps of the family of the Danites, whose name was Manoah. Manoah. Hi, Rhonda. Hi, Iona, Rudy.
Hi.
So Manoah means rest. So here is this man Manoah, who is a very simple, laid-back kind of guy, maybe even lazy, living in a town of wasps. His wife was barren and bore not. And the angel of the Lord appeared to the woman. And it's interesting because in various cases in the past, we always heard that when a woman was barren, she would go crying to God. Like, remember the story of Hannah, who had Samuel. She went to the temple and she begged God. She prayed to the point that Eli thought she was drunk. And but here it doesn't say that she asked anything. And the angel of the Lord appeared to the woman and said to her, behold, you are barren, and you have not borne a child, and you shall conceive and bear a son. So obviously, even without her asking, this couple was chosen by God to have a very special son born to them. Now, therefore, beware, I pray, drink no wine, nor strong drink, nor eat anything unclean. Now, if it says here, for you shall conceive and bear a son, and no razor shall come upon his head, for a child shall be a Nazir to God from the womb, and he shall begin to save Israel out of the hands of the Philistines. Now, the Nazir was a person, just a regular person, who wanted to have the experience of what it was like to be a Kohen, a priest. And so they had to fulfill certain things. They couldn't shave their heads. They had to let their hair grow long. They couldn't drink any wine or any strong drink, and they couldn't eat any unclean thing. Now, if the people in this tribe were eating no unclean things, then this wouldn't even have to have been said. But they had needed to be told. So obviously they weren't keeping the laws of the animals at that point. Then the woman came and told her husband, saying, a man of God came to me, and his countenance was like the countenance of the angel of God, very awesome. And I didn't ask him where he was from, nor did he tell me his name. Now, it's interesting because in the book of, well, I'll read a little further, because in Genesis you also see an angel of the Lord. Christianity always makes it out to be the pre-incarnate Jesus, but it never says that in the Torah. This was just an angel of God who was a messenger coming to tell somebody a very special thing. And then it says, so she's telling her husband what he said to her. Then Manoah prayed to the Lord and said, O Lord, I pray, let the man of God whom you come again to us and teach us what we should do to the child that will be born. Now, God listened to the voice of Manoah, And the angel of God came again to the woman as she sat in the field, but when Noah, her husband, was not with her. So from this you get the idea she was doing all the work and he was somewhere at home. Like, you get the idea that he was a lazy guy. Anyway, the woman made haste and ran and told her husband and said to him, "Behold, the man has appeared to me that came to me the other day." And Manoah rose and went after his wife and came to the man and said to him, "Are you the man who spoke to the woman?" And he said, "I am." Wherever that's written, the "I am" in the New Testament, what do they always say? Ah, this is God. And all he did was say, "I am." But religion gets crazy ideas from things really that have nothing to do with it. And Manoah said, "Now, when your word comes to pass, what shall be the rule for the child, and what shall be done for him?" The angel of the Lord said to Manoah, "All that I said the woman, let her beware, let her take care. She may not eat anything that comes from the grapes, nor let her drink wine or strong drink, nor eat anything unclean. All that I command her, let her observe." And then later it says, the angel of the Lord said to Manoah, "Though you detain me, I will not eat of your bread." Oh, no, here. Manoah said to the angel of the Lord, "I pray you, let us detain you, that we may make a kid for you." So he's probably thinking back of what Abram did when the angels came to visit him. And here he wanted to do the same thing. But angels, obviously he didn't know the Torah, because in the book of Judges, it said that everyone was doing as they saw was right in their own eyes. There was no Kohanim in those days. They had judges, but there was nobody who was going to the temple at that moment, or to the Mishkan to make offerings. So the angel said, "Though you detain me, I will not eat of your bread. And if you will make ready a burnt offering, which is an olah, which is totally something that's totally burnt up to God, you must offer it to the Lord." For Manoah knew not that he was the angel of the Lord. So he was offering this to honor this man, this angel, not to God. And the angel is telling him, you need to offer it to the Lord. Manoah said to the angel of the Lord, "What is your name? So that when your words come to pass, I may do you honor." Again, he wants to honor the angel and not God. And the angel of the Lord said to him, "Why do you ask my name, seeing that it is hidden?" Here it says, "V'yu pele," peli, which means hidden but also wonderful. So Manoah took the kid and offered it upon the rock to the Lord, and the angel did wondrously, and Manoah and his wife looked on. For it came to pass, when the flame went up toward heaven from the altar, that the angel of the Lord ascended in the flame of the altar, and Manoah and his wife looked on, and they fell on their faces to the ground. So this is very similar to when the flame burnt in the burning bush. You see that the whole area around it became holy, because here it says they fell on their faces to the ground because they knew something spectacular was happening. But the angel of the Lord did no more appear to Manoah or to his wife. And then Manoah knew that he was the angel of the Lord. Then Manoah said to his wife, "We shall surely die, because we have seen God." This is another thing that shows us that he didn't know the Torah, because if they would already be dead if that was the case. But his wife said to him, "If the Lord were pleased to kill us, he would not have received a burnt offering and a meal offering at our hand." So she was a little more intuitive and spiritual. Neither would he have showed us these things, nor would at this time have told us things like this. And then they had Samson, who God used to destroy the Philistines. But you see also in Genesis here, when the angel came to Jacob, he also asked him, "What is your name?" And he said, "Jacob." And he said, "Your name shall no longer be called Jacob, but Israel, for you have striven with God and with men and have prevailed." And Jacob asked him, "Tell me, I pray thee, your name." And he says, "Why do you ask after my name?" And he blessed him there. So it's interesting why they are always wondering, what is the name of this person that's coming to see them. But at the time of Judges, you could see how far away they were from God. Just like today, our people are so far from God, and we can only pray that we're going to see an angel of the Lord, because let me tell you, we need it right now. And this is another thing that we discussed last night that I thought was amazing, and then we'll have some discussion after. This is from the book of Acts, because I asked him in the second chapter of the book of Acts, it talks about Shavuot. It says here, when Pentecost came, which is Shavuot, they had all met together. So they had a group of people who had been at the temple, and now they're meeting in a house. It says, suddenly there came from heaven a sound as of a violent wind, which filled the entire house in which they were sitting. And very often, God will appear in a violent wind. It was like you saw that on Mount Sinai, that, the mountain trembled, it shook. And it says, and there appeared to them tongues of fire. Fire seems to be a picture that we're given, like before when we read in Judges, and in the Mount Sinai, and in the burning bush. A fire is like it's a picture of when you're on fire for something. It's like you've been enlightened and you want to spread it. So it's not literal tongues of fire, which they take very literally. This is a picture of what was happening to these people. These separated and came to rest on the head of them. It's like each of them had an understanding. They were enlightened. And it says they were all filled with the Holy Spirit. Now, it doesn't mean that the Holy Spirit is separate from God. It's just that God, in that moment, revealed himself to them in a very special way. And they began to speak in different languages. But it's interesting because later on it says, all these people came from Parthia, Medes, the Elamites, the people from Mesopotamia, Judea, Cappadocia. They came from all these places, Pontus, Asia, Phrygia, Pamphylia, Egypt, and Jews came from all over. It's like if Jews today all go to Jerusalem, you'll get Jews who speak Spanish, Jews French, English, Yiddish, Jews from all over. They began to speak in their languages as the Spirit gave them power to express themselves. Now there were devout men living in Jerusalem from every nation under heaven. And at this sound, they all assembled. And each one was bewildered to hear these men speaking his own language. And the reason was because they say they were amazed and astonished. Surely, they said, all these men speaking are Galileans, since these particular people were all followers of the man from Galilee who was Yeshua. So the Orthodox Jews who came, devout men living in Jerusalem, thought that all these men were from Galilee, but they weren't. How does it happen that each of us hears them in his own language? because they came from all these places. Jews and proselytes, non-Jews alike, from Crete, Arabs, we hear them preaching or speaking in our own language about the marvels of God. Everyone was amazed and perplexed, and they asked each other what had happened. Some said they were drinking too much wine. Anyway, it says they're not drunk as you imagine. It is only the third hour of the day. But this whole idea of how I always understood it because I heard it from a Christian say that everybody understood what everybody else was saying. But it doesn't say that here. What it says is they were all speaking in their own languages. And they all had an experience. Something happened to them. They had an experience in that moment with God. Now let me turn this off. How do I find you again? Here, hold on a second. I need to open this up. How do I unshare? So let me close this. Stop share. Here it is. Okay. So that's some of the things that I've been looking at the last couple of days. What do you think of that, Holly? Or Jerry?
It's Holly's turn.
Hi, Miriam.
Hi.
I just wanted to ask a quick question about that because the half Torah that you read relates to the upcoming Torah portion.
Right.
I just can't remember where exactly or what it says about the requirements of the Nazareth.
Nazarite.
I
It's
thought
not-
that it.
It's different from Nazareth. Nazareth is a place.
Oh, okay.
And a Nazir is a person
Right.
who decided, where is Nazir? I'll show you.
So the three requirements are they can't cut their hair, they can't drink any strong drink or red wine.
Right.
But I thought that in the Torah portion, the third requirement was they couldn't touch a dead body. But in the portion you were just reading, it was saying they couldn't eat any unclean thing.
Right.
I'm just wondering why it's different
Let me look and see.
or if it matters. I don't know. Sorry, my house is so loud. I always mute myself.
It's okay. Loud is good. We're Jews. We're very loud. Don't worry. Okay, so Numbers 6, 1 to 21. Let's look at that. Numbers 6. Okay, let me share this. Okay, so here it says, the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the children of Israel and say to them, When a man or woman shall clearly utter a vow, the vow of a Nazir, to consecrate himself to the Lord, he shall abstain from wine and strong drink. He shall drink no vinegar of wine or vinegar of strong drink, neither shall he drink any liquor of grapes, nor eat fresh grapes or dried. All the days of his Naziriteship shall he eat nothing that is made of grapevine, from the pressed grapes even to the grapestone. All the days of his vow, the Nazirite there shall be no razor come upon his head, until the days be fulfilled, in which he consecrated himself to the Lord. He shall be holy. He shall let the locks of his hair grow long. All the days that he consecrates himself to the Lord, he shall not come near a dead body. You're right. Didn't mention it there. He shall not make himself clean for his father, nor or his mother. It's true. Which goes to show they really didn't know the Torah. And then they had special offerings. The other thing I just thought of it actually, and I wonder where it is. It talks about, remember when Paul, let me just look that up. Acts 21:20. Acts 21:20. Here, let me read. Let me share again. And here it says, on our arrival to Jerusalem, this is Rabbi Shaul, or Paul speaking. The brothers gave us a very warm welcome. The next day, Paul went with us to visit Yaakov, or James, and all the elders were present. After greeting them, he gave a detailed account of all that God had done among the Gentiles through his ministry. They gave glory to God when they heard this. Then they said, you see, brothers, how thousands of Jews have now become believers, all of them staunch upholders of the Torah. And what they have heard about you is that you instruct all Jews living among the Gentiles to break away from Moses, authorizing them not to circumcise their children or to follow the customary practices. What is to be done? A crowd is sure to gather, for they will hear that you have come. So this is what we suggest that you should do. We have 4 men here who are under a vow, which is the Nazirite vow. Take these men along. Be purified with them. Pay all the expenses connected with the shaving of their heads. This will let everyone know that there is no truth to the reports they've heard about you, and that you too observe the Torah by your way of life. About the Gentiles who have come to believers, we have written, giving them our decision that they must abstain from things sacrificed to idols, from blood, from the meat of strangled animals, and from illicit marriage, or from immorality, so sexual immorality. So the next day, Paul took the men along and was purified with them, and he visited the temple to give notice of the time when the period of purification would be over and the offering would be presented on behalf of them. So really, what we see is that, there's been such bad press about Paul, that Paul was the beginner of Christianity. And it is so not true. They were all the followers of Yeshua, and Paul, who came later because he wasn't a follower of Yeshua directly. He had an experience later when he was going after the followers of Yeshua to kill them. He had that experience on the road to Damascus. Yes, Jerry.
Oh,
You looked like you were going to say something before.
I'm just sitting up in the chair. Just to let you know, when the screen goes blank, it's because I put my face right up to read the screen with my bifocals, so I don't want to scare you. I'm just like example here. You see the screen is off. That's only because when I really go close, I go close to read it.
Oh, it's not big enough. I have to make it bigger, maybe.
Oh, no. It's not going to help. It's fine. I'm just telling
Okay.
you. I'm just explaining to you what happens when that goes on.
Yeah, it's true. You're really scary.
Well, you should have seen me in Halloween. When trick or treat, they gave me everything just to get rid of me.
That's so funny. But, the more I see what's going on in the world right now, the more honestly I get so desperate. Because to me it's so clear. The answers are so clear. If our people would only come back to the Torah. I was watching a video tonight. Let me show it to you. Hang on a second. Where is it? Here. Oh, this is another one. I don't know if you want to watch it, but this was about this man. It seems that he's a Messianic Jew. It's actually my second daughter, Tamara, who really thinks that anything to do with religion is terrible and doesn't want to have anything to do with it, and is upset about the fact that she was born a Jew. And I'm trying to tell her that what we believe is not religion, and that you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Anyway, she sent me this tonight because her family, her father, her sister, is all driving her crazy about. So if you want me to stop at any moment,
How long is it?
I think it's 9 minutes. So I can just,
Can you just give us the cliff notes on it?
yeah, actually I can send it to you. It's he's telling us to really pray, because he said that he named all the names of Orthodox Jews in Israel who have died from the Pfizer vaccine. And he said this is not a vaccine. It is a and he said in the coming days, and maybe even in the coming years, we're going to see a lot of deaths from this. And he said we really need to pray, because he's one of those who believes that Bill Gates is behind it, and that they want to really eradicate a lot of people from this planet. And then right after that, another video came on showing in Israel all these rockets that are coming from Gaza, and the Iron Dome stopping it. But between that and what's been happening here in Montreal with the attacks on the Jewish community, we really see that things are stepping up. And unless people start to take coming back to God seriously, more and more we're going to have these. I don't know what's going to stop it all. I guess only God does. But we're living in times very much like the pre-Second World War. And we really have to pray, what is our role in it? What can we do to make things a little better in our own circles of influence? I get absolutely desperate sometimes.
That's always my question. Like, what can we do about it? Because everybody has their opinion on what's happening. But yeah, I like that reminder. What's our role in it?
Yeah, that's what the Torah portion, Naso, and last week in Bamidbar, how God is separating us and now forming a people, and everyone knew their roles. They had an order. God, it's like people prefer chaos to order. They feel that when things are orderly, it's too controlled, but it's not God's way. God wants us to be free within the boundaries of order. That's one of the things that we struggle with in this little community, because we're bringing in Gentiles who have never had the kind of order that they see in a synagogue or in the Jewish community. And and they question, why do you do this and why do you do that? Well, yes, we can question, but even though we're not here together in a synagogue, in one place, we are a community. We are all helping each other with the things that we struggle with in our lives, so that we can personally grow. And by personally growing, we affect and we influence those around us. It's a little bit like pay it forward. Whenever we heal something within, have a paradigm shift in some way, where all of a sudden it's like a flame of fire hits our head, and we have a eureka moment, as our Rabbi Percy used to talk about. Wow, I really get that now. And then God will bring someone into our lives that we can share that with. And I think the more that we see these things happening, the more an outside enemy will hit, the more we will draw closer together and become closer and need to support each other. So God brings people into our lives who we need to speak to and not be afraid to speak to. And not be afraid to show them how we're living, as long as we're living according to his principles.
I can't speak for all the Gentiles that come into your community. I can only speak for myself. But for me, like, I think because I've walked away from a religion that I didn't think was helpful or accurate, now I try to be more careful that I'm following God rather than man's traditions and rules. So that's why I question things, you know, coming into any new community, I'm going to question things and try to line it up with scripture.
And
so
and
I'm
I
not trying to
agree
be
with you.
disrespectful to like structure or anything like that.
No, but it's important because it makes us check ourselves, and we need to. We need to constantly check why we're doing things. You know, my desire, even though it says it says our people were to be a light to all the nations. So my desire, the way Yeshua's desire was, and what Moses' desire was to get our people to follow Torah. Like, Jerry, you have no idea. It's a joy for me that you keep coming on. And to tell you the truth, it takes courage to do what you're doing. Because most people don't want to know what is in the Torah. But unless we know what it is, what it actually says, and not what other people say it says, and live by what it says, it's like I was speaking with my daughter today, because she gets angry if I say, well, you're not obedient to God. You don't listen to God. And when you listen to God, you'll be blessed. I said, my life was a mess. You can't imagine what my life was like. Nothing like today. And I told her, and I said, when I knew better, I did better. And I was able to turn everything around. And by constantly following his precepts, he blessed and blessed and blessed. So God does that for us. And I said, until we're willing to do that, until we're willing as a nation to do that, we will not be a light to the Gentiles. But then when Gentiles come in to a community like ours, what they're saying is, I would like to be a part of Israel. I want to follow the God of Israel. So what do we have to find what we do that is not going to insult people who have tradition, but get them to question their tradition. Why are you doing these things? I'm constantly doing that with friends of mine who grew up Orthodox. They have to look at all the things and all the superstitions that are with it. But if we don't keep some kind of an order as a synagogue, then what are we? Are we a community center? Are we just a regular discussion group? There needs to be some boundaries that we follow. What do you say to that, Miriam? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Let me can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, let me just I never saw that as an issue. We are what we are. We're Torah observant Jews and Gentiles who want to be in a relationship with God and also want to follow him and relate to other people in the way that the commandments tell us to. We have a script for a good script for life, moral principles, and that's how people will know God is in us. When you can just see when when a person is a moral person, truly moral person, not because they're being goody goodies, as they used to say in school, but because they know that these are the moral laws that God has given them, given us. So when you say who are we, I never understand that question. We're Torah observers. We want to follow the Torah, and we want to know. We want to relate to other people in moral ways.
Yeah, like I think of when Ruth came back with Naomi, and Naomi gave her certain things to do. She said, go to the field and glean and stay with the women. And she did. And then when Boaz put attention on her, and the other kinsman redeemer refused her because he didn't want to take on her children, Naomi said, go and lie at the feet of Boaz when he's on the threshing floor, and spend the time there. Now that was a practice of the day. She didn't question it. She did it. She followed what her mother-in-law told her. It was a practice. Maybe I don't know where it came from. I don't remember reading about it in the Torah. It was a tradition, I guess. I have to look more deeply into that. But she obeyed. She listened to her, and because of all her desire to follow the people, she says, your people shall be my people. So if you were to come into any synagogue and want to be a part of the people of Israel, then it's like what Paul said. You will come into and sit at the seat of Moses week after week, and you'll learn what the people do. So I guess that's who we are.
What does everyone think? Who are we?
Rudy, what do you think?
Well, I kind of think that I'm not expert enough to give
Whoops.
you an educated opinion.
Okay.
Okay.
You don't have to be
How about
educated.
an uneducated opinion?
An uneducated opinion. I kind of think I would tend to think in the way Holly thinks of her idea, where it's about how she follows God, and it's not so much maybe the religious end of it, but it's just with her personal relationship with God.
Okay. But remember when one of the things that he said in the Torah, don't just bring your offerings anywhere you want. Don't build up your altars, because in paganism, each house would have their little altar. Each community had their little altar and their little gods. But he said, no, you're not going to do that anymore. From now on, you come together as a community and you come to one place and you be there together as a community. That's a very foreign concept to people coming into the community, because they're used to being on their own. You have this family here and that family, and there's nothing wrong with it. But when you come to a community to learn about how to follow the God of Israel, it is a little different. And that makes it, I don't know, maybe uncomfortable.
Well, that is kind of similar, how the Christians go to church, right?
Yes, that's where they get it from.
Everybody kind of goes there for their 2 hours or whatever, or
Yeah.
you have holidays and stuff like that.
But if you look at what the Catholic Church did, you see a lot of people having their own little altars in their own homes. The Torah tells us not to do that.
I see what you mean, yeah.
Yeah. What do you think, Jim?
Maybe they just like to pray extra at home.
Maybe. But
Um,
who are they praying to?
I guess they'd be praying to their impression of God, or I guess Jesus. But
Some pray to all these different saints, you know. Some pray to Mary. They have, like, I've seen these elaborate altars.
yeah, they're just trying to cover all the bases.
Yeah, I guess.
Just trying to be safe.
Oh, that's going to make them unsafe, let me tell you.
I know.
Jerry, you're stuck. What happened to you? You got stuck there for a minute. It's not an easy thing to talk about.
Yeah.
Very, very.
Oh.
So I'll make a comment by way of participation, Peggy. Hello?
I'm here.
Yeah, because my internet connection setting is a little bit unstable. Anyhow, firstly, like you mentioned a couple of times, the God of Israel, but God is God. He's of Israel, of us, and everybody else.
Exactly.
So when you say God of Israel, I was just wondering if we could say God of Israel plus or God period.
Well,
Anyhow,
he's got many names.
yes, he has 72 to infinite names.
Yes.
So you can call. As a matter of fact, as Jews, we accept Allah as well.
Oh,
A
do
Jewish
we?
person is allowed to go into a mosque.
I wouldn't go
It's
into a
not
mosque
considered
today.
idolatry for a Jewish person to go into a mosque, to the best of my understanding, because they're praying to one God. They happen to call that God Allah, but you weren't aware of that, or
Well, the word Allah means God.
right?
But at the time of every tribe had a local god, and one of the local gods was named Allah. So the God that they're praying to in a mosque, if you're going to go in, don't wear your Jewish star.
Okay, that's another thing. The other thing, I'm quite impressed with Holly. Seems to be very well read. Like she's recalling this year thing, and it's right. Nazareth, as you said, as I can't get that pronunciation exactly from the city of Nazareth where Jesus was born.
That's different. Nazareth is a city. It has nothing to do with Nazir.
Yes, you explained that. Yes,
Yeah.
thank you. I'm just going to share something with you guys. I just tell myself, I keep telling you as much as and the only reason I'm telling you this is not in defense or anything. I keep telling you that I'm from a Jewish background and maintaining that. And the reason I keep telling you that because I'm sort of open, and having an open mind doesn't mean I'm leaning to any other ways. So I'm going to just share something with you. In my office at one point, I wanted to be close with Christians to understand them and feel them, and I resolved myself to do one little thing, and the thing was, I decided, I think it was around Christmas time, I decided to get close to the Christians from a loving human point of view, and I decided I was going to hug one man and one woman, and what I did was, the man's name is Jim, and I have his other name too, but I'm just leaving that for now. And I gave him a hug, and to me, even though we're different, it's like there's like a cultural difference. And I felt at the time, like we're talking about the Iron Curtain in Russia, and I felt that curtain just drop between us. That was my feelings. I'm not sure how he felt, and it just dropped, and I just felt really close. And I did the same with a woman. So I can't remember her name. She was a beautiful woman. She gave me a smack in the face. I'm only joking. I'm only joking. But anyhow, so I did the same thing with a woman, and I felt that that drop. So, and I think that camaraderie, if we can get that, and going back, I keep liking what Holly said, and we said as well 3-4 weeks ago, that what we have to do, and we have to bring godliness to here on earth. And I think God wants us to do it. He wants us to do it. And this is fantastic what we have here, because you mentioned I'm keep coming because I always was interested and just and I think if we had more people like this, it would help the world. But who knows? It's a tough world out there, and we can't change the world, but to quote those things, we can maybe change ourselves, our little world, So, and who knows? Maybe it will take off, and people will be better with each other, and I rest my case for now.
It's interesting because Isaiah's second son was named Shear Yashuv, which is the name of our congregation. We named him after Isaiah's second son, and it means the remnant shall return. A remnant is usually a small amount. And if we look all through the Torah, everything is like a picture, a mosaic. And you never saw a huge amount of people following God. You see, Noah, there was only 8 to get on the ark. Every one of the prophets, well, look what they went through. The prophets told the people what they were doing. When I tell people that we have to come back to Torah and all this mishigas will stop, they think I'm crazy. How could this possibly happen? How could it be the 10 Commandments that's don't you? They come up with all kinds of things. Even Yeshua, look, he didn't have a huge following. I mean, he had thousands of people following him, but look at the results. He was killed for what he believed. It's not a popular thing to tell the truth. When we risk to tell somebody the truth, we risk losing a friend or even a family member.
I'm just going on. I don't think he was killed for what he believed. I think it was a political thing, just like the wars today, and just a power struggle, and that was it. It was just a matter of power. And
but who among the Jews held the power at the time of Yeshua?
Well, I'm going to say that 99.99% of the early Christians and people who followed Jesus were Jewish. That the people are trying to lay a culpability on one or two of the Jews that may be involved in his trial or something. That and I don't even know if that's not even made up.
But Jerry, there were no Christians when he was alive. Jerry, there were no Christians when Jesus was here. When he was alive, there were no Christians. Christianity came later, after he was dead.
They were followers of Jesus, put it that way.
Yeah, they followed him like a rabbi. All rabbis had their talmidim.
All the early Christians that were slaughtered by the lions from the Romans, they were probably all Jewish. 99%. So those are early Christians. It's
right.
So anyhow, I'm not sure where I am because
but I asked you a question. Who were the ones who were against him? Who were the Jews who were against? Because the regular people, the regular rabble like us, we followed him. We liked what he had to say. He was going against the Pharisees and the Sadducees, who were like the Hasidim of his day.
There's another interpretation of the Bible. I read somewhere, and instead of saying like all the Pharisees or all the Sadducees or it says somewhere some of them. It was not everyone.
Right, exactly.
Not everyone. So to make a broad statement of collective guilt on all the Sadducees and Pharisees. I'm not sure if I have the pronunciation right.
No.
I don't hold with that. There are a few people like everywhere, like you had a guy in certain countries, dictators, and they bring the whole country to ruin. That doesn't
That's
mean the
true.
whole country was like that.
That's
So,
true.
you'll find there is a New Testament somewhere where they're they're careful in that. I don't know which one it is. Could be a New World Testament or something, or New Vision, where they don't. They're careful. They say in the opinion of, or something like some of them. They don't. They're not saying all of them anymore. And
Yeah.
maybe you could investigate that yourself. But I did see it somewhere.
Well, even
It's
the one, even the Bible that came out, which is called I have it here. It's called The Complete Jewish Bible by David Stern. I like some of it. I don't like a lot of it because he makes them Yiddish. He uses Yiddish terms. But instead of, when it talks about the Jews were upset at him, they specifically, because the word in the Greek was the Judeans. They were from Judea. They were known to be like the Hasidim, the ultra-Orthodox, and it was a group of the Sanhedrin. Wherever the Romans went, if they had a religion or a local body that controlled the people, they would set up what was called a Sanhedra. The Sanhedra were a group of people who would report back to the Romans, and in case there were any uprisings. It was the Sanhedrin that gave up Yeshua because they were in bed with Rome. Their money came from Rome. They were very happy. Yeshua was not happy with the status quo because the temple was so corrupt because of the Sanhedrin.
I think, and of course it's my opinion, I think the Romans were more involved than the Jews. Now, naturally, a few centuries later, when Rome decided to take Jesus to make him godly, when they decided that, naturally they wanted to shift some blame and stuff to other people. So it would be natural if I was a Roman and after 300 or 400 years, I'm going to accept Jesus, and I was the one who really was behind killing Jesus in the first place, I'm certainly going to say it wasn't me, it was him. So I really don't follow that it was maybe because I don't want to feel that we did, and furthermore, it's a fact that 99% of the people who followed Jesus were Jewish and not
Exactly.
Romans. So when you're going to say
Exactly.
when you're going to say the Jews kill him, I don't buy that.
They didn't kill him. They didn't have the right to kill anyone.
No,
But
no,
what they did was they gave him up to the Romans.
I don't know if they gave him up. They were forced to give him up. It's not so clear. The Romans were still in control of the whole Judea. So who's going to tell them? And all these stories, it makes a right story for us. You and I, let's say we decided to do something. Well, we're not going to keep the blame on us.
No,
So
but Jer, don't you? They call him King Mashiach. They were waiting for King Mashiach. So here, all the people at that Pesach, they were throwing the palm leaves down. He's coming riding in on a donkey, according to the prophecy, and they're all going, "The Mashiach, King Mashiach is here."
before
That
I
was a
forget,
threat to Rome.
before I forget, I'm interrupting you before I could forget. I forget. And what shows for a fact to back up what I'm saying, in fact, the Romans, what they could not change, they put on his thing King of the Jews. So that showing this is they couldn't change that.
Yes.
Inri something, I'm not what was Inri, whatever.
Henry, exactly.
Okay, so this is further proof. If I was giving an argument right now, this is further proof that it's not the Jews. I don't like the idea that they're just blame. It's not, if they put King of the Jews, they're killing the King of the Jews. I'm sorry. I'm not going along that the Jews even had anything to do with it.
Most of the people didn't. They were home at night preparing for Pesach.
So
They
why
didn't
not?
even know. They
So why
killed
not?
them early in the next day.
Why not take most of the people?
What do you mean?
Why not take the opinion that if most of the people didn't go along, so why don't you say it was not the Jews? Most of the people, the majority of
I-
people did not.
No, the majority of the people did not. They followed him. They agreed. They wanted him. But it was a small group who handed him over to the Romans to have him killed because they wanted to keep their power. They wanted control over the temple. He went into the temple and he threw over the table of the money changers. He called them a bunch of hypocrites. They hated him.
Yeah,
Just like, just like they hated our rabbi. When
that's
we used to meet across the street from the Beth Tikva synagogue. We rented in the Salvation Army. One Yom Kippur, the rabbi across the street with a bunch of the men and an anti-missionary from Ottawa came into our service. They threw down our sign. They called our rabbi worse than Hitler. They came right to the bima, and they started telling us, that we needed to get away. We needed to not follow this man. That he's stealing the soul of the Jewish people. It was a nightmare. Rabbi Percy never did any of those things, but that's what they believed.
well, well, people get hot for different things. That's why they have 12 trillion people on the jury. Each one can make up their own mind, and that's where I'm comfortable in what I'm thinking.
What are you thinking?
Just what I told you.
Oh,
And
I understand, but you're right. It wasn't all the Jews. Most of the Jews followed him and loved him. He had thousands of people come to the mountain when he gave the Sermon on the Mount.
but you're still saying it was the Jews, the Sadducees, and the Pharisees, and this guy, what's his name, whatever.
Judas, Yehuda. Yehuda was a zealot.
Well,
Yehuda went to
I, I, I,
Caiaphas.
I have news for you.
What?
I think that whole deal with Judah, I think that's a made-up name because it sounds similar to Jews. I'm not sure if his name was Judah altogether.
Maybe. Who knows? It's
Well,
possible.
listen, there are so many lies going on today. You
Yes.
can't imagine in those times they didn't have the internet. The lies can travel like you can tell a lie from here to the other side of the world.
Exactly.
So
Exactly. But that's why the only thing we can rely on is what God handed Moses at Mount Sinai. The rest is commentary. All we have to do is live by those. It's not complicated.
there's one more thing. I'm not sure how your time is. There's one more thing that that I like and dislike, or like and dislike, is that I would like to be approached to and by and for God more through love and not through fear. And I know we have to have a little bit of fear. I would say at the most, let's say awe. Let's leave fear out. Awe and love, not
Reverence.
not
Yeah.
yeah, not fear. And certain lectures that I go to now with rabbis, they're not emphasizing fear to the best of my knowledge. They're not emphasizing. We're learning Torah, and it's not fear. What will fear to be afraid of what will happen, and I'd like to come to God through love and emphasize
Exactly.
and
Yes. I
emphasize.
agree with you. It's what he talks about. He constantly tells us, do not be afraid. Fear not, for I am with thee. I've called thee by thy name, thou art mine. He's constantly telling us not to be afraid, to trust him, but to be obedient. We need to be obedient.
Okay, I just want to let you know that which is fine. I see where you are, and it's very nice. I would like Jesus too, but as I mentioned when I first started, I'm not there, so you're a little bit quoting along those lines, which is fine. But just to let you know, so I'm just reminding ourselves. I don't have to remind myself. I'm still staying where I am, so to speak.
We're
Where are
not
you?
going anywhere.
Where are you?
Where am I?
Yeah.
Jesus said, "Who am I?" Or who do they say that I am?
Exactly.
We're Jewish.
This is a Jewish congregation. We don't believe in the Christian doctrines. We look at Yeshua as a rabbi at his time, telling his people to come back to the Torah.
Well,
because we were,
all the early Christians were Jewish anyhow. What happened in the synagogues? Yeah, they were all Jewish. And the whole deal was Jewish. And then if they had a certain amount in the synagogue started believing in Jesus, and they said, "Well, you guys are believing Jesus. Make your own synagogue." So we're all Jews anyhow.
yeah,
So
exactly. And usually what brings us together, what unites us is an outside enemy, which is happening right now because we've been so divided. Well, Holly, you okay? You still love me?
Of course I do. Yeah, I'm good.
so Holly,
Sorry.
ask Holly for a comment on that little deal.
I agree with what you're saying, Jerry, about the New Testament. You have to be careful what the account is saying. And I've heard the theory that Judah is a made up person. And I'm not going to say I agree or disagree because I don't honestly really care all that much. It doesn't seem to affect my life directly, but I'm open to looking into it because, like Peggy said, the words that God gave on Sinai is what we need and what we can really rely on. Everything else, if it's supporting that or helpful, I'll go with it. But if it's not, like all of this end time stuff that Christians are into right now, I'm just like, I think that we need to be living the way that God asked us to live, period.
Right.
You don't need to be thinking that it's end times or anything like that.
Right. That whole idea of end times and the rapture, it's the same idea as in Judaism with the come. We want Mashiach now. We want him to come. He's going to fix everything. It's almost like it's always putting the responsibility on someone else. Yeah.
Well,
And then
Go ahead.
now, hopefully, whichever Messiah comes, we should all follow, and that's as close as I can come to. That's as close as I can come. If Jesus came walking down the street and he happened to be the Messiah, I'm not going to say, well, I'm not necessarily. I don't know. Why I'm not necessarily going to say, well, I'm not going to follow him because he's Jesus. Whoever Messiah comes is going to save the world. It's that's not impossible. Put it that way.
Well, we'll know. I don't think there'll be any doubt.
well, I think we'll only know though if we're really grounded in truth because I have some messianic friends who one of them saw something today that said Jesus Christ is the Antichrist. And she was so offended by that. And I thought, I actually agree with that because the made up version of Yeshua that the Catholic Church invented, I think he could be the Antichrist, really. Like if he's steering people away from Torah, then that's not a good thing to be following. I wasn't offended by that term. So I think if you're grounded in the truth, then you'll know if and when a Messiah comes. But I think there could be false messiahs.
There
Already
have
out
been
there,
so
probably.
many. There already have
Yeah.
been many false
Yeah,
messiahs.
that's why we're so divided right now.
Exactly. Bar
Well,
Kokhba was a false messiah. He led
Who?
many people. Bar Kokhba. His name was. It was at the time of Rabbi Akiva, and a lot of people followed him. And then at the end, he converted to Islam. Yeah. So, Iona, how are you feeling? How's the hole in your head?
It's
I,
getting,
I can see right through.
Good.
it's getting better. I'm just a little tired today, that's all.
Okay. Yeah. Rhonda, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
They're tooting.
How are you doing?
Tired. I'm here. I'm tired.
Yeah.
I've been up since 5 o'clock this morning.
Oh my goodness, how come?
Well, I took James to work because I had to go pick up Shashi. Then I came back. We had to wait for the air conditioner guy. So
Oh,
I put the
okay.
oven here. And then I've just been running all day.
Well, that's enough to make you really tired when it's so hot.
Yeah.
What did he say?
He said it's the compressor.
And what are you going to have to
And
do?
well, somebody from the office is going to call, but I asked him, what do you recommend? And he said, change the unit. So
That's what you thought.
Yeah.
Wow. Huh.
So I'll find out when they call me.
Okay. Her son, the older son, just got his driver's license. Did they buy the car?
I'm trying to stall as long as I can.
I hope you
They
can.
found a car, Rhonda?
Yeah, they found a car, but
What kind?
it's a Toyota Sienna 2017.
Well, Toyota's a good car.
Yeah, it's a
It's
very good car.
Is it a good deal?
Well, I don't know. I need to check the price, compare prices with other Siennas around that same time.
Rudy, you have any idea what those things should go for? 2017 Toyota Sienna?
More than $20.
More than $20. Good. And less than?
Matthew said high 20s,
28,000.
For
like
2017,
28,000.
28,000?
Wow, that's a lot.
2017? Yeah.
the dealer is
They're
getting,
really nice vehicle.
yeah, they
Yeah.
are.
What's she?
The dealer is selling it for 38, but with taxes and interest and everything, it's 52.
That's crazy.
$52,000 for a second.
That's
Yeah.
crazy,
Wow,
crazy.
have I been asleep all these years?
No, but this is
Cannot-
highway robbery. They're taking
What is
advantage
a
of these
reasonable
kids.
price for a secondhand Toyota?
Well, this is a secondhand dealer.
Yeah, but what would you, I
Tell
thought it
them
would
to
be
come to
Matthew.
Alberta and get one for 25,000.
even
Okay.
that. I didn't know it was so much. for
Okay,
You
well-
can
secondhand
get a
car.
2014
Yeah.
for about 17,000. Like a
Wow.
2014 is the new style,
Okay.
the new body style that they have. It's right up till 2021. It's the same style,
Okay.
and that's what we want. Like that's the first year they made the 8-passenger. But I don't have 17 grand, so there you go.
17 grand.
Wow. Well, you never know.
They're really nice though. That's what we
They're
used to
amazing.
drive. We called it the snow tank because it's 4-wheel drive and
Yeah.
with good snow tires, they're really good. And I always felt really safe in it.
Wow.
But
Well,
that seems like a lot, 38,000.
And they're known to be
Unbelievable. I'm
like
shocked that
700 and
secondhand
something
car
a
goes
month.
to that. So how
Yeah,
much
that's
is
a
a new
lot.
one?
I don't know.
well, I know Toyotas are good. They'll last you forever. But
Nissan also.
but they're not in a position to buy one that expensive. Honestly, they're getting in way over their heads. They're two young kids. You know.
I don't know if this is true, but the dealer had to get both of their gross incomes. And according to what they gave her, they're making more than what Rabbi and I made together.
How's
And I
that
don't see how that
possible?
is a minimum wage.
Is that true? It's not possible.
I don't know. I've got to sit down and figure out.
Well, you have to take a look at their bank accounts. Anyway.
Yeah, they're both on minimum wage. no?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
she's a little bit more than minimum.
And how
okay.
many hours a week
4
does
hours.
she work?
She works 9 hours a day, so 9 times 5 is 45.
45. And
That's still a
James?
big payment every month
That's a
when you're
big
just
payment.
starting out.
Well, she told me it was about it's over 450, like around 450 every 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's a lot of money for two young people.
There's
For
a lot
now.
of other expenses that come up. too.
Exactly. And expenses with the
Unless
car
they want to
itself.
live in the van.
That's another story.
Good idea.
And I've been telling them for months now exactly what all is involved with having a car. And she said, yeah, I know. I understand all that. And so
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
They're aware of how much money is involved?
Anyway.
They say they do, but I don't know.
All right. Well, we'll talk about this another time. Anyway, thank you everybody for coming on tonight.
Thank you. Thank you for these.
Good to see you. Jerry, good to see you.
Good to see you, everybody.
Say hi to Elaine.
How's your new, well, it's not a new dog anymore.
No, it's not a new dog. How are you? You're feeling okay, Holly? How's the little baby inside you is doing well?
Yeah, no, I'm good. Sorry, I was just talking to Matthew. The puppy is good. Caitlin's doing a really good job training her.
Good.
And yeah, my plants are ready to go into the ground, but we're gonna get some cold weather, so I'm gonna wait a couple more days.
Oh yeah, cold weather coming there. Wow. Huh.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
too,
I think all
Ayana
of
and Rudy?
Alberta, like
Got-
some parts even had snow today.
No.
Did you guys
Wow.
have snow today?
Iona, Rudy, you had snow?
I think
No.
Edmonton area did.
Wow.
And then my kids went out west, like towards the mountains, and they played baseball in the snow today.
No
They
way.
came home and their hair was all wet. And I said, "Oh, did it rain?" They're like, "No, Mom, it was like a blizzard." Yeah.
Shocking. I think because we've been thinking of leaving Quebec. They're making it so hard here now for
Really?
English people. Yeah. There used to be this Bill 101 and now they've added all kinds of new regulations against only a certain amount of English people can go to, English people and even French can go to Dawson, which is an English cégep. Yeah, go ahead, play the violin. Go ahead. It's all right.
Are you
I
the
mean, I
fiddler
don't.
on the roof? What are you doing?
No, he's playing the violin for me.
Oh,
It's like
you're
it's a
crying?
sob story.
Oh,
But it's just one of the things. But we've been through this before, and they want to call Israel. They want to call Quebec a nation within Canada, its own separate nation. Oh,
And Trudeau agreed to that.
Trudeau agreed
Yeah.
because he's an idiot.
I have to go help Matthew get all these kiddos into bed.
Okay. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good
I
to
know
see
in the
you.
rain.
Hi.
All right. We'll see
Love
you
you
again on
all.
Shabbat,
Bye.
God
Nice to
willing.
see you all. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.